Good morning, Rabboisai. Mordechai. Today's shir is sponsored by Fishel Gross. Refuah, Shlema for Bryna, Yenta, Devora, and Avraham, Yosef, and Chana, and the Cholah Meron. And for all the safety of our chayalim guarding us, he probably doesn't know yet, because he's in America, about the terrible tragedy that happened yesterday in Karlin Stalin. There are a whole paranchas, or in English it's called the bleachers, fell down with hundreds of people. And two people were nifter, a 14-year-old kid and a it was before Yenta? Oh, they do know, but he didn't have the chance to write us. Okay, here, they do know. Rabbi say it's a tremendous midas hadin. To me, when I saw it, the first thing that came to mind was the similarity between the two tragedies. If you watch the video, I was unfortunately zeicha to see both videos. You see a bunch of people and suddenly they disappear. Both of them were literally the same thing. They just are swallowed up by the ground. Midas hadin, we're in the middle of a war. Yidden are dying. A person was just nifter yesterday from a lynch. He succumbed. He was nifter after he was in the hospital for a day or two. And it's a tremendous midas hadin. We have to, I don't know where to look, and I'm not here to say what to do and how to. I saw in one of the magazines, I was a little appalled by it, that it's probably because the women, their shaitels have laces in the front and things like that. I mean, we could go to the Gemara and say, look, the Beis HaMikdash was nechrav because of sinas chinam. What's interesting is that Karlin Stalin is known, it's a Hasidus known to be careful and value life and safety. And even till this very day, the Kalina Rebbe, he wears a mask. He was the one that said Corona. He was screaming Chai v'Kayim about Corona. And punkt over there. He was the first one to shut down his meisters. I mean, I even had a conversation with the Karliner Rebbe this past week, and I recorded. I told him I'm recording it, and I was going to play it for the island, but the speakers aren't in. Maybe tomorrow we'll have speakers. I'll play it. Unbelievable. All right, we have to do tshuva. Nachamal, we have to look, introspect, and do tshuva. Who's Eli Rischall? I don't know of such a person, but I'm sure he meant to say Naftali Rischall. For Yartzeit of my father Yosef, Pinchas ben Mordechai, the neshama should have an aliyah. You doing tshuva? You gonna do tshuva? I mean, I was thinking that maybe your father knows you as Neil. Okay, never again. This is one by David Feinberg, our in-house statistician. Rabbi say it's a tremendous simcha today. Tremendous simcha. For thousands and thousands and thousands of people, today is day 500 into Shas. 500, it's a tremendous accomplishment. 490 days ago, I came to this room with the intention of joining the cycle of just Masechtas Brachas. And now it's day 500 of the cycle. I'm still here, and the same goes for so many others. Thank you for all your hard work in preparing. Mazel Tov and counting until day 49 of the Omer. Mazel Tov, there was a person who sent me yesterday. I don't want to read the email again because I read it last night for the Olam that was here. But it says like this. It's mamish anes. For the first time in 45 years on earth, I finished counting Sfira. I attribute it to Yashir, which I counted on roughly 36%. So I want to say thank you for the reminders. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It worked better than the 6 different apps, various alarms, and in-person calendars, posters we tried in years past, Sam. I did read the whole thing. So here's a person, 45 years, didn't finish Sfira. So at least for that person, if you're also one of those people, please send it in. I want to hear about it. All right. We have a minute or two here. From Avraham Rosenzweig. Eli, your share on Erev Shavuos was groundbreaking. I say this because your storytelling enthusiasm and illuminated spirit encouraged me to laugh and then laugh again. My son couldn't hear the shir. He must have thought his old man was bananas. I had tears in my eyes of happiness. I'm so grateful for your gift, which is your ability to bring Torah and simcha to your students, in particular during these most challenging times. Eli, be healthy and joyful all the days of your life. The Jewish people owe you a debt of gratitude for the hope and laughter you bring to us through Daf Yomi. Chag Sameach, Yesher Koyach, my very best to your family and the MDY Mishpacha. Well done. Shkoyach. And this one, it's good that he wrote this. This is from Jay Spitzer from Toronto. Rebellia Guten Zimmer. On Sunday morning, you asked me if last week or so you had confused me with someone else. Schmoozing with the guys, we figured it out. About a week ago, you had a sponsorship, and you said it was from Jay Spector in Toronto. Jay Spector is from the Five Towns. So maybe you owe Jay Spector an apology. I do. Now we got it straight. There's Jay Spector in the Five Towns, Jay Spitzer in Toronto. And when Jay Spector had a sponsorship last week, I said Jay Spector from Toronto. That was the problem. Apology. That's all. Take care and let's hope for P'sur Stories from Eretz Yisrael. Jay Spitzer in Toronto. All right. Rabbi Sai, here we go with Daf Lamed Zayin. We're the top word on Daf Lamed Zayin. And here's a question for the Olam. Does anybody see an issue with the way our Sidurim are printed today? Yeah, Kriya Shema in our Siddur. Is there a problem with Kriya Shema in a Siddur? Anybody ever think about it? More so. Nobody has a problem with it. Okay, good. It's not that big of a problem. We're going to see in today's sugya. What about all the parshiyos that are in the back of the Siddur until Sheni? Is that a problem? The answer is they're both problematic. It's usher to write Kriya Shema in a Siddur, but today it's mutter. Just like it's usher to write the Gemara down, but today it's mutter. You just know that we're lucky. Otherwise, we'd be making mistakes, etc. But theoretically, it's a problem. All right, so we're holding on top of Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Uminayin sheba'ano, ono Hashem, chatasi avisi poshati. We go from the Mishnah says avisi poshati chatasi, and we said at the end it's chatasi avisi poshati. But he says ono Hashem, which is a very interesting lashon for vidui, because vidui is you're asking for forgiveness. You're not asking Hashem for anything. You're not asking to give you something. It's not, so please, what does please mean? Please, I am asking for forgiveness. It's an interesting lashon. How do we know that we use such a lashon? Nemer kan kapara. V'nemer la'alon b'chorev kapara. By Har Sinai, by the Egel, it says the word kapara. Ma'alon ba'ana. Kan ba'ana. Just like by the Egel, when Rabbeinu used the word ana, so too by vidui. U'menayin shebashem. Why do we say ana Hashem? Nemer kan kapara, v'nemer be'egla arufa kapara. So now we're going to a different thing called egla arufa. If you don't know where the murder came from, there's a victim. We measure. The closest city has to bring an egla in the valley. You oirif the neck, and they say a vidui. Mala alam b'shem, afkan b'shem. Just like be'egla arufa, you say Hashem's name. So too, by vidui you say Hashem's name. So there's a combination. The honor we get from egel. And the Hashem you get from Egla Arufa, both Egels, but different. The Chet HaEgel and Egla Arufa. You can't ask a question why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say the lashon of Egla Arufa, which is Hashem. He said, oh no. Why? He felt at that time not to say it. You can't go backwards in history and say, how come you should learn from later on, from Egla Arufa, and bring it forwards. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't feel like that. And it was beforehand. Egla Arufa, Teilif Mecharev. Why isn't there the word Ana by Egla Arufa? We should learn it from the Chet HaEgel. And if you say yes, by Egla Arufa, he does say the word Ana. Basnan, learned in the Mishnah, and that's it. But it doesn't say Vilu Bana like Amar. So Mela says the Gemara, Kashya. We know that you don't say Egla Aruf the word Ana. Why don't you learn Egla Aruf from Chet HaEgel? Kashya. What's Kashya? In Yiddish they say, from a Kashya stat man nicht. You don't die from a Kashya. A Tiyufta you could die from. It's checkmate. Kashya, okay, you have a good Kashya. What does that have to do with the lashon? Shouldn't say Hashem's name because of a suffix. You chop off an animal's head, but you don't say Hashem's name. Maybe. Okay. There was from a kasha startmanisht. Somebody once asked the Rogachev a kasha. He said, "I have a kasha. I can't live. I can't take it anymore." So the Rogachev wrote him back. He said, "Ayin and this daf." Whatever. So the guy looked. He couldn't find. He didn't know what the Rogachev was talking about. That's how the Rogachev used to write letters. Ayin sham. That was the end of the story. So he writes back, "Chipasti v'loy motzasi." So he says, "No, ayin sham and taisvis." So he looks and Taisus can't find it. So finally, the Rogachev says, Taisus had a kasha, and he didn't have an answer. And then there's another Taisus right afterwards. You could live if you have a kasha. It's okay. My uncle told me this story. My uncle learned in Hebron. Where's Mendy today? Mendy also learned there, no? That's right. Mendy learned in the terrace. My chavurs learned in Hebron. My uncle Shlomo Winter is a Magichir today. He said he saw this letter with his own eyes. Hebron sent the Rogachev a letter asking for his Sfarim. So he wrote, Ayin, Kiddushin, Daf this, and whatever, different Mesechtas. Eruvin, Daf Pei Aleph, and they looked up over there, and it says, Dvar Torah Mois Koinos. You want a sefer, you pay for it. That's what he wrote. And another story, and this my uncle saw the letter. So before cell phones, I don't know, but it's in the Oitzer HaSfarim of Hebron. That's what he said. He was in charge of the Oitzer HaSfarim. They have it put away. Another guy wrote the Rogachev a letter, and he wrote back. He had a kasha. So Rogachev wrote him, Ayin Sham. And basically, it's all the places that Gemara says, I'm Haritz. No. Seriously. Okay, from the Kasha Starpenisht. So the Kohen Gadol says his vidui, and everybody says, Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchus Elolam Va'ed. Tanya Rebbe Yomer. How do you know it? Ki Shem Hashem Ekra. I am going to call out Hashem's name, and you, so it's Kama, and you, Havu Goydel Elikenu, and you should announce the greatness of Hashem. So how do we do it? We say, Baruch Shem, Kvoid Malchusai. The Hashem's name should be blessed. Kvoid Malchusai, the cover of his Malchus, Lailam Vayed, forever. Chananya ben Achir. I don't have a good shot over this. I was hoping to skip it and over Chap. Omar le Moshe Yisrael b'shosh ani maskish Moshe LaKadosh Baruch Hu. When I announce Hashem's name, Atem Havu Goydel. You should give the greatness of Hashem. Chananya ben Achir B'Yeshua Imer. Different shot. Zecher Tzadik Livrocha. Says in Mishlei Zecher Tzadik Livrocha. That what? Omar le Novel Yisrael. B'shosh ani maskir Tzadik Olamim. Who's the greatest Tzadik? HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzadik Olamim. When I say Zecher Tzadik, when I mention Tzadik, then it's you, live Racha. Atem Tnu Bracha, then you should say Baruch Shem Kvoy Machus Elolam Va'ed. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Fishel in honor of the MDY family. The Kohen is still wearing his big day lavan, and he comes into the Azara, the Mizrach HaAzara. Here, this is Mizrach HaAzara. He walks up these stairs. He's right over here. Now, we have to see the pasuk for this for a second, if I could find it here. Not in order. Oh. We're talking about the two goats. You sure you're here? The goats. Why not? So the pasuk tells us that it should be lifnei Hashem. What's lifnei Hashem? Opposite the Kodesh HaKodashim. So it should be facing the Kodesh HaKodashim. But where? So it says Pesach Oyel Moed. As I walk in, Pesach Oyel Moed, but lifnei Pesach. So it has to be, he has to be standing over here, facing over here. Litzvain Baloi leMizrach HaAzara. He's in the eastern side of the Azara, which is down here. Litzvain HaMizbeach, north of the Mizbeach. So if the Mizbeach is over here, he's going to be standing to the north of the Mizbeach from here to here, but on the eastern side of the Azara. So basically he has to be standing right over here, not over here. Not over here, because this is not north. So this, let's draw a line right here. And he has to be standing to the north of the Mizbeach, but the eastern side of the... A little water first. Okay, he drank. Okay. Oh, you should have seen last night. He drank big time. I put him over here, and my whole cup fell on him. Nebuch. All right. Asgan mi minoi. The deputy kohen, the second in command, the second kohen. If something happens to the kohen gadol, this guy steps in. V'rosh beis av mismoiloi. What's a rosh beis av? So we said there's 24 mishmaros. Every mishmar gets to do 1 week. And every day of the week, there's a beis av. There's a family, and there's a head of the family. So whoever was lucky enough to be the head of the family, not of the week, but of that day, gets to be on the left side of the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur. It's once in a lifetime, once in many lifetimes. V'sham shnei sirim. And there are 2 goats. Right over here. 2 goats. V'kalfi hoysasham. And they had a lottery. I'm going to describe it soon. Ubo. I think the family picked it. The most chashuv guy of the family. Yeah. No, each day was picked. What do you mean? Who picked that beis av? Right. And there was a family per day. There was a giant family per whatever you want to call it, but there's a certain amount of people for that day. They probably picked the beis av. Who else would pick it for them? You mean the mishmerish picks six different? Yeah. It's not fair. Why should one guy? We have to. Also, a girl is more like min hashamayim versus b'dei adam. We want to make it exciting. We want people to come. We said the whole girl is make some matzah. It's going to be really boring. V'sham shnei sirim. Yeah. V'sham shnei sirim. People get all bent out of shape because they didn't get an aliyah in a shul. Can you imagine? I'm only there once a year, and you gave it to Pliny. I'm much more chashuv than him. What do you know who I am? Kids are girl is a lot better. V'sham shnei sirim. V'kalpi hayisasham. They did a lottery to see which one of the 2 goats gets thrown off the cliff and which one gets shechted. Ubashnei gorelos. Shell ashkeroya hoyu. They were made out of wood, boxwood, whatever this wood is. Ashkeroya, it's good wood. You do nice carvings with it. V'asam ben gamla shel zahav. And ben gamla took it from the wood and made them in gold. Does anybody remember who Ben Gamla is besides you? Who's Ben Gamla? Anybody? I said besides you. No, nobody remembers. Which Kohen Gadol? No, Leivi. They're going to ask this on the test, on Dirsha. Oh, Marta ben Baspaisos was his wife. That's his wealthy wife. She paid how much? 3 kav of gold. I don't care about her death. I care about her life. Yeah. That's why. Okay, Bekitzer, Ben Gamla, we said he was a Talmud Chacham. He was Gadol, but he might not have been the top 1. Maybe he was second and third in Gadlus, but his wife paid off that he should be a Kohen Gadol. V'hayu maskir nois l'shvach. They said, he did a beautiful thing. He took the girl, the 2 pieces of wood. Oh, I have a picture actually. So first of all, here's the picture number 1. Is they're standing next to, you see the big door here, that's Shar Nikonar, standing right over there with the 2 goats. And they have a lottery going on here. And it looks something like this. There's a box and 2 pieces of wood. One says Lashem and one says La Azazel. And Ben Gamla went and took the pieces of wood and he changed them into gold, these guys. And here's the Kohen Gadol, here's the Zgan Kohen Gadol, and here's the Beis Av. You stand like this. Mizrach, no, not Mizrach, Tzafon of the Mizbeach. Tzafon of the Mizbeach right over here. No, it's right next to Sharon Nikner is over here. To this right over here. He's standing over here. Not in front of the door, a little bit to this side. It has to be. Now, first of all, we don't know where the Mizbeach is right now. We're going to see soon. We're going to see soon that the Mizbeach is not over here. The Mizbeach is pushed off a little bit to the center line. So right over here is the Mizbeach by this line. And he was standing over here. It could work with this picture. This picture could be accurate, actually. Let's see. Yeah, not one sheet, the whole. That's how the Mishnah is going to go. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Now, once we mention that he was mentioned l'shvach, the Chachamim gave him praise for doing so, so we're going to mention other things that are l'shvach, and then later on, in the next Mishnah, it's going to talk about people that did things that were lignai. They weren't so good. Ben Katin also shtemesrei dad lakiyar. So we had this already. Maybe it was from this Mishnah. But the kiyar originally only had 2 faucets, and he went ahead and he made 12 so that the 12 kohanim that are performing the avodah on the Talmud could wash at the same time, simultaneously. Shaloi hoyaloi el shnaim. To begin with, it only had 2, and he added, either he made a whole new kiyar or he added more faucets. Va'afu also muchni la kiyar. The Gemara is going to describe it. We could cheat a little bit and understand what it is. Muchni is a wheel that lowers the kiyar into the well so that the kiyar could be submerged and touching the natural spring so that the water inside the kiyar doesn't become possible overnight with lina. We know that anything that's in a kli shares becomes kadosh, and anything that's kadosh becomes possible overnight. Shalom aleichem, Rabbi. The kohen is in town. Shalom aleichem. So in order to avoid that psul of lina, he came up with a device, this giant wheel. It's what basically they use today in factories. You know, you have a winch. Okay, a winch. I don't like the winch. The wheel with the thing, and it lowers it nicely. You don't have to lift it up and use all your resources. All the chayalim, their handles were made out of gold. No, and what about the kli itself? We're going to see in the Gemara that the chayalim themselves were gold. This is a special kli. Certain chayalim he made the handles out of gold. Helni Imoy also saw Nivresha. She made a golden, she was Hungarian, she made a golden chandelier. Al Pesach Heichel. Here's a picture. You want to look exactly how it looked. This is how it looked. Gitzel, something like this. A golden lamp that was over. These are curtains. If you're wondering what these are curtains, and it's over the Heichel door. So over here. This is where they put the nivreshas. This I found very interesting. I forgot to discuss it with the Chavrusa and look it up, but it seemed like Saita was kind of common to the point where, well, I don't think it was common, but just in case there would be a Saita, she didn't want them to have to take out the Sefer Torah and start copying over the parsha of the Saita. So she fashioned a golden plate that had the parsha Saita on it, and they put it over there, and the Kohen could just copy off you don't have to be mevayish the Sefer Torah and take it out. Nikanar nasu nisim lidal soisav. So these are all people that the Chachamim gave them shvach and praised them for spending all this money on the Beis HaMikdash. And Nikanar, we know, these are the doors, Shar Nikanar right over here. Also, he was praised, the famous story where the door fell off the ship, and then the second one, they were about to throw it off the ship, and he held on to it. He said, if you're going to throw the door off, I'm going to go. As the Gemara is going to describe it. And the door showed up in Nace. The second one, they let him stay, and then the sea calmed down, and the second door followed the ship all the way to Eretz Yisrael. was a Nes Galui, so we wanted people to remember the Nes Galui, so we called it after him. So all these four, whether it's Hilni Amalka and Munbaz, who else do we have here? We have Ben Gamla and Nikanar L'Shvach. Ben Katan, you said? Yeah, Ben Katan. Thank you, Ben Katan. The Kiyar with the 12 faucets. Says the Gemara. Oh. Let's do this Balpeh for a second. If this is the line, Tzafan, from the red this way is north, from the red this way is south. So, where's the Mizbeach? If the Mishnah tells me that he's standing to the north of the Mizbeach, that seems like the Mizbeach is completely behind the red line. Why? Because if it's like this is what you were wondering about, Jamie, last night. If the Mizbeach is like in this picture, then he doesn't have to stand to the north of the Mizbeach. He could also stand a little bit in, like this Menshi over here. He could be standing over here, and it's not north of the Mizbeach. It's north of the line, but not north of the Mizbeach, because the Mizbeach is pushed off. From the fact that the Mishnah says that he must be standing with his two goats right over here, and it's north of the Mizbeach, then that means that the Mizbeach is pulled backwards, and there's nothing, no part of the Mizbeach is showing past the red line. Yeah? No. Otherwise, it would say he's standing in the tzafan. Right over here. This guy is standing in tzafan. This guy, this stick man, is standing in the tzafan of the Azara, past the red line. But he's not standing in the tzafan of the Mizbeach, because the tzafan of the Mizbeach is this line right over here. So the fact that the Mishnah tells us that he's standing in the Litzvayna Mizbeach, Michlal the Mizbeach lab b'tzafan kai. So the Mizbeach had 0, not even 1 inch into the north. It was completely, unlike this picture, completely to the south of the line. So ask the Gemara, Mani, who does this go according to? Reb Elazar ben Yaakov, the famous Reb Elazar ben Yaakov, Kavanaki. When he says something, he knows what he's talking about. We pass him like him. The Sanya, tzfayna l'fnei Hashem, she tzafan kulei panui. Because there's an extra hey, tzafayna, says Rashi. So the entire tzafan, the whole north, is completely available for you to stand there. Ask the Gemara, but look at this picture. Where did I take this picture from? I took this picture from the Sugyan Daf Lamed Vav. When the Kohen is standing with his cow, there are 3 shittas. Is the tzafan just this strip over here? And then we had Reb Elazar Reb Shimon, Moisef af beina ulam v'la mizbeach. That the Kohen could stand between the mizbeach and the ulam right over here, but he's between the mizbeach. How could he stand between the Mizbeach and be in Tzafan? Because the Mizbeach is pushed over this way. So Reb Elazar, who is it? Reb Elazar Reb Shimon holds the Mizbeach is pushed past the red line, and therefore he's standing with his cow, the Kohen Gadol is standing with his cow, between the Mizbeach and a Heichal. According to Reb Elazar ben Yaakov, that the Mizbeach is up until the red line, not an inch past the red line. How could the Kohen Gadol stand between the Mizbeach and the Ulam? He cannot stand between the Mizbeach and the Ulam. Why? Because if he's standing over here, he's not in the Tzafan anymore. And if he's standing where this stick guy is, there's no Mizbeach there. He's not standing between the Mizbeach and the Ulam. He's standing by the Ulam in the Tzafan, but not between the Mizbeach and the Ulam. Between the Mizbeach and the Ulam only goes according to Reb Elazar, Reb Shimon, and we also said according to Rebbe. So we have a major problem. The Mishnah on Lamed Vav, not Lamed Vav. Where is that Mishnah? Yeah, on Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis, the final thing, and that was the sugya on Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. Goes according to Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. And now you're telling me that our Mishnah, right over here in Daf Lamed Zayin, 1 daf later, is going according to Reb Elazar ben Yaakov, and they argue with each other. How could that work? According to Reb Elazar ben Yaakov, the Mizbeach goes up until the red line. And according to Reb Elazar Reb Shimon, the Mizbeach goes past the red line. It's contradiction. V'oreisha Rebbe Lezer Reb Shimon he says the Gemara an answer a little bit of a tcha kula Rebbe Lezer Yaakov. It's all Rebbe Lezer Yaakov. So what's the problem if it's Rebbe Lezer Yaakov? Rebbe Lezer Yaakov says the mizbech, not like in this picture, it goes up into the red line. So how do you say that he's standing between the ulam and the mizbech? So you have to say utni kibein ha'ulam v'le mizbech. It's as if ki'ilu you pretend that the mizbech continues to where the mizbech is right now. In fact, Rebbe Lezer Yaakov says there's no mizbech past the red line, but he's standing in this area as if the mizbech continues, as if there's an invisible line going there. Bein ha'ulam v'le mizbech. Yeah? Yeah, but look in there's an ice over there. There's a dalad over there. Give yourself. You don't have a dalad? Whatever. So without a chaf. Bibein hulam. Bibein, there's no such word as bibein. It has to be a kaf. Hasgan bi minoi v'roish beisab esmoiler. So how are they walking around there? The Kohen Gadol is in the center, and then you have the Sgan, his deputy to his right, and the Beisav to the left. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, hamahalich liyamin rabbi, if you walk to the right of your Rebbe, harei bur. You're such an amaritz, you don't even know proper manners. Derech eretz. That's not derech eretz. Forget about Torah. You don't know derech eretz. Derech eretz kadmol Torah. You don't even know that. You're such a bur. You're not maritz. Why? It's not nice. You're not equal with him. What do we do with our Mishnah? If three people are walking on the way, we had the Gemara, I forgot to look it up. We had the Gemara, Abaye was walking with Rav Papa and Rav Huna, Rav Huna Bereda Yeshua maybe, and we just had it in Shkolim and Psachim, where Abaye saw what's the name of that shed? A terrible shed. And he grabbed Rav Papa and he brought him to this side and he threw Rav Huna to that side. And Rav Papa said, "Why? What? You don't remember the story? It's Pesach time. It was like during Seder. It's mamish recently." But anyways, one was to the right, one was to the left, and Abaye wanted protection from Rav Papa. Rav Papa thought he was doing something else, like he was trying to throw him like he was using him as a human shield. He said, "No, I need your chashivas to get." What was his name? Meriri, like what's the Kete Meriri? Okay, something like that. By the way, I said it last night, but you guys weren't here. Today is day 1095 for Hillel Abrams. He started Shvuos 3 years ago. Exactly 3 years ago. He got a cake. Remember, he got a cake? We got him a cake. Year number one. Year number one. That's more? Oh. Statistician. He said there's a leap year, there's extra day. Kids are okay. What are you saying? We should get him a kick tomorrow? Is that what are you saying? I don't get it. Okay. So how is it possible that the Rav stands in the middle? You see the Rebbes, right? I guess that's how it goes. The Rebbe goes, and then the Gabi over here. But you're bur namartz if you do that. The three malachim that came to Avraham. Michal be'emtza. Gavriel be'yimino. Who's more chashav, Michal or Gavriel? How do we know? Because remember, all the way in the beginning of Brachas, Daf Dalet, it says, Michal ba'achas, Gavriel b'shtayim. Remember that they knew how to fly. It's hard to understand what it means, but Eliyahu Navi took him 4 times, and Bekitzer, he was more chashiv. He's the most chashiv malach. Gavriel, Michal be'emtza. Michal is the most chashiv. Michal be'echad, Gavriel b'shtayim. That's what it says over there. Michal be'emtza, Gavriel be'yimino. So Gavriel is less than Michal, so he stands to his right. Refuah b'smoiloi. Eliyahu Navi, I don't know where he is. He's like ba'arba. So what do we do? How can you be to the side of a greater person? It's not derech eretz. Through Guma, Rav, Shmuel, Bar Papa Kamid, Rav Ado, Kadesh, Iskasa Boy Rabbi. He's behind him. He like covers him from behind. So if a missile comes in, he'll take the bullet for him from behind. Next to him, Yam Aretz. Behind him, you're Balgaiva. Says the Gemara, the mitzadid adds dude. I have a picture. Ooh, here we go. If the Ami magazine doesn't have women, the Shir also doesn't have women. Even they had an article about a 95-year-old woman, they refused to put her picture, and they put a picture of her son. So we don't have women either. But here you get the president, and look over here. These guys are slightly, what? They're not to his side. They're not equal with him. And they're not behind him. It's like a triangle. They're behind this way. They're behind and to the back. Behind and to the back. A flying V. A V. That's it. And there was a lottery. So I did this last minute. I hope you understand this. We're going to learn 4 halachas here. Important halachas. From the fact that the Torah says the word goyrol, singular, so we're going to learn that you don't take 2 Hashems and put it on one animal, and 2 lazazils and put on the other one. Because it says goyrolois. I would think twice Hashem and twice lazazil. No, goyrol, 1. From the fact that it says echad, so you don't take 2, put Hashem's name, Hashem and Azazel on 1. No, each animal gets 1. 2 very different halachas. You don't double up 1, and you don't give 1 both. Goyrolois is that you can't make 1 large and 1 small. That's not fair. The kohen is going to stick his hand into the box, and he's going to pick one made out of stone and one made out of wood. He's going to know which one is the Azazel. One is large, one is small. They have to be equal in size, equal in material. Okay. And finally, goyrol, the double lashon is that it should not be, from the extra goyrol we learned, don't make it out of gold. The Shem, we'll see, in the Gemara, the name of Hashem shouldn't be in gold and the other one not. Because that's the way the pasuk says it. Look at the pasuk, let's see inside. Oh, I'm going to get there. Rashi, answer your question. It's hard to understand, but Rashi addresses it. Should I just say the answer? He's asking if you put the same names on both animals, so how do you choose an animal? How do you know which one goes off a cliff? Says Rashi, you're going to have to choose. Here's the pasuk, most of it. And what's missing here is girl echad for this and girl echad for that. Girl shall call davar. I could use any material I want. Yochal yitain shnayim al zeh. In other words, 2, not both Hashem and Azazel, but 2 times the word Hashem on animal number 1. V'ushnayim al zeh, and 2 times the word Azazel on the second one, because it says goyrol lois. You should give goyrol lois on each one. Tamalayma no goyrol echad Hashem v'goyrol echad Azazel. That's why the Torah says no in singular. Each one gets only 1 of Hashem. Oh, enkan Hashem el goyrol echad enkan Azazel echad. However, we still didn't figure out yochal yitin shel Shem v'shel Azazel v'shel Shem v'shel Azazel. Give 1 of each to each animal. The first question was maybe give 2 of one name, 2 Hashems to 1, and 2 Azazels to the second one. That can't be because it says Goyrol Echad, Goyrol Echad. But still it says Goyrol Lois, and give 1 of each to each animal. On that note, I'm asked, if you give 1 of each to each animal, then what's the difference between the animals? They're both identical. So I don't know which one is Azazel, which one gets thrown off the cliff. That Rashi says, okay, you're going to have to choose. The word echad. Oh, you see, I just put it in here, so now it's easier to see what's going on, because the Gemara says the same words. Goyrol echad, goyrol echad. But the first one is the word goyrol. The second one is from the word echad. Hashem enkan Hashem ela echad, enkan Azazel echad. Only 1 gets Hashem, and only 1 gets Azazel. You don't double it up. Then why do I need the word goyrol lois? Shiushavin shlayas echad. See, this is called a sikum. Right over here is a sikum. If you just read the Gemara, you might become a little. What are the halachas that I take out of this? These are the halachas right here. Goyra lois, from the word goyra lois, you shaven. They have to be identical. What just happened? I missed something? Goyra echad, you shaven. Shalias echad shazav, echad shekesef, echad gadol, ve'echad katan. Goyra shall call davar pshita. It's pashod that you can make it out of any material. It doesn't say in the Torah what you should make it out of. Like tzricha like the sanya. The feishim matzino but shashem kasav alav vushal zav. The tzitz that the kohen gadol wears on his forehead is made out of gold. Yachalav zekein. Maybe it has to be out of gold. We know that you can't make one gold, one silver, but maybe both have to be out of gold. Goyrol, riba. Riba shel zayis, riba shel egois, riba shel eshgroya. So b'kitzur, these are very nice wood that you could carve things out of, but it doesn't have to be necessarily gold, and that I learned from the extra word, goyrol. Ben katan also shneim osor dad lakiyar. Why did he make 12 faucets? So that there's 13 kohanim that do the tamid, but only 12 of them need kiddush yadayim raglayim. Which one doesn't need the kiddush yadayim raglayim? The one that does the shchita, because even Israel could do it. Tana shachris b'miluyo imikaz yadayim raglayim and elyoin. So back in the day, when there's only 2 faucets, there was an upper one and a lower one. I would think it's lower down here. It's probably harder to get to. So you started out when there's a lot of water. You start out with the upper faucet. Later on during the day, when the water level goes down, when the water is lower, so what's a kiyar? What's a muchni? My muchni, Omar Abaye, Gilgula to have a mashakale. This is the muchni, this device. Interesting, Taisi Shadim brings that perhaps the muchni was the fact that you took him and you put him in the Yam Shel Shlima. There's a giant Yam Shel Shlima, a big mikvah. I don't have the picture here, but it was on all these bulls. And he says, in the Taisi Shadim, it says that one of the legs, or the legs of the bulls, were hollow, the size of a pomegranate, and the water source of Eitan went through the leg into the mikvah, so the mikvah was not a kli. The mikvah was actually part of, so he gains the same thing. That when you put the kiyar into Yam Shel Shlomo, it's as if it's touching the water source, the spring. Interesting pshat. Says the Gemara, Munbaz HaMelech Hasal Kol Yidois HaKelim. Asked the Gemara, Nevdinu L'Didhu D'Zav. Why did he only make the handles of the kli? He should have done the entire kli. We just turned to Lam Zayin Amud Beis. Shidduch for Esther, Devora, Leah, Gittel, and Devora Suri, and nishmat the Meron people, and Refuah Shlema for the Meron, and the nechama for Meron families, and l'schus, or in honor of the MDY Chabura. The Chabura is truly one big family. Omar Abai, biyadei sakinim. We're talking about, of course, all the kelim in the Beis Hamikdash were gold. He took the handles of the knives and he made them out of gold, because a knife, the actual knife, you can't make out of gold because it's too soft. Meisvei, avu azab kani kelim. How could that be? Munbaz made the kani kelim, vogne kelim, v'yidais kelim, v'yidais akinim shel Yom Kippurim shel zav. So it seems like that it's not. He did everything. He did all the kelim. He did including yidais akinim shel Yom Kippurim shel zav. Tigmar Abaye bekata denarge v'chatzina. This kelim. You said that he did kelim. He did the kalim. The kalim over here is not referring to the kalim. Of course, the kalim are all zav. It's referring to the axes. Yes, the sakinim, he did the handles. But the axes also, he only did the handles. That's what it means over here. Kalim are made out of zav. Hilni imas son of zav. Tana b'shosha chamazirachas. When the sun was shining, nitzoitzis yoitzim imeno v'akol yoidim shegias man kriyashma. You can see over here, the lamp lights up, it starts sparkling, and then people know to say Kriya Shema. Ask the Gemara, Meisvei, Akar Shema, Shachris, and Manshri, Mishmor, Vanshri, Mamod. Who's in the Beis Hamikdash? There's 2 types of people. The Kohanim that belong there from the Mishmar, and the Israelim that belong there. They're there to represent. If you do Kriya Shema like them, you either did it too early or too late, and you're not Yaitza. It's either too early. Now you're allowed to do it. It says in Mishmur, you're allowed to say Kriya Shema once a month. You're allowed to do it early, but you can't make it a habit. So you wouldn't be yaitz if you're going to go like the Anshe Mishmar. And the Anshe Ma'amid are too late. It's not for the people in Beis Hamikdash, it's for the rest of Klal Yisrael. Should we do this tomorrow? From here you see that you could write part of the Torah on a piece of cloth. Not true. What happened was, she didn't write out the pasuk word for word. She wrote, instead of a word, Vayomer, she wrote a Vav. Hashem is a Hey. So it was just a memory aid for the Kohen, but she didn't really write all the words down. It says that he's reading it from the piece of from the gold. It was just for memory. No, it wasn't literally word for word. However, it says, and then it explains what's written. So you see that it says mefurish these words. It says the Gemara Hasam besirugin. No, it says, you're right. It says im shochav ish oisach. But then the rest of the pasuk is just Aleph, Beis, representing the different words. So yes, it started at the pasuk with 3 words, let's say, but the rest of the pasuk was just abbreviations. Have a wonderful day. Adinoi. Shema b'keli.
You didn't explain what Anshe Mayim is. I'm talking about other people in Yerushalayim.
No, I said the Jews that are representing.
That's right, but when you said Shar Amma, you said other people in Yerushalayim, not in
No, these guys. The Shar Amud Yerushalayim.
What does that mean? People outside of Beis Hamikdash. That's
Yeah.
not true.
The
Talking about the rest of the people that came to see, not the people who are in charge.
Huh? Winch is good. Okay, winch is good. A winch. It's called a winch?
Yes.